back room. It's like you don't see these other like that's a DeAndre Hopkins. Like not that I wanted DeAndre, but like that's what that was. You'd spend it on a back. Hey,
him or Rico Dowdle. Yeah. All right, we are live. What's going on, LBHT crew? Yes, we did another cold opening. This formula seems to work. All right. So as you can hear us talking over here, B is not the happiest with the latest move from Dan Morgan for the Panthers. But overall, I think he's cooking.
Yeah, it's whatever. If you haven't seen Rico Dowdle just signed with Carolina, they signed for $6.25 million for 1 year, right? Like, okay, It's 1 year, but you just cut a running back that was making that much. Whatever.
It's a lot.
Whatever.
It's a lot.
Could have signed, Cooper Kupp or Stephon Diggs, whatever.
We have a lot to discuss today. Okay, a lot happened during the first wave of free agency, and there's a lot to discuss. There's some basketball-ish news to discuss. Okay, that will be in the court of public opinion. I think you guys will love that, or love discussing it anyway, or love hating it. So, not too many topics, but I feel like we're gonna be here for a little while because these will spark some passionate responses from you all. Okay, so sit tight. We're gonna hit the intro, and we'll be back in just a second. Okay, what is going on, LBHT crew? Hey, you know what? Just Aloe. I see you, Just Aloe. He says, y'all like SNL with the cold open. You know what? SNL gets millions of views worldwide. Okay?
That's right. Which is weird because they are not funny at all.
Sometimes they're funny. So every now and then they have a little skit that's funny.
Every now and then, yeah. That's not a great ratio for a comedy show.
Fat Country Boy, what's going on? Says, what's up with Ravens always signing these old washed up receivers past their prime? Fat Country Boy, we're going to talk about that too. Don't you worry about that. That is their MO. But thank you for coming through. Appreciate you. Omar Tillman's in the house. He was first. Says, what's up, fellas? What's up with you, Omar? Appreciate you coming through. Omar? He's here for the Panthers news.
That's right.
There's a lot of Panthers news to discuss. They are definitely cooking. Osmond's in the house. Says, hello, Jose Brodny and all the chat. Salute, Osmond. Appreciate you.
What's up, Osmond?
RJ's in the house. Says, ain't nothing like making the live. Facts. Facts. Thanks for coming through, RJ. D Weezy's in the house. What's going on, D Weezy? Says, EDC had to add something since it wasn't talent. Well, we're not gonna call D Hop no talent. I mean, he's got talent. He's just older, but he's extremely talented. But I get your point.
He sure was.
I get your point. Message received. Okay. Jeremy Miller, what's going on? Says, hey, everyone. Happy free agency week. Yeah.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah. Big Reg in the house. Salute. Said, what's good, everybody? What's good, Big Reg? Look at the nice logo Big Reg has. A nice new logo. Mm-hmm. Big boy
Very
talk.
Clean.
Yes.
Like it a lot.
Go subscribe. Big Cuz in the house says, fellas, what's up, Big Cuz? Filthy in the house says, sick intro, y'all. You must miss the intro. We've had this for a while.
Or maybe Evie Mux is missing the intro.
Yes, it's not your fault, Filthy. It's Evie Mux's fault for cutting out our intro. But yes, we try to play that at the beginning of every show, but we have technical difficulties out of our control.
From months talking about why they just play like 5 random seconds of music.
Be the change you wish to see. What's good? Says must see TV. Appreciate that. Salute. Who else is in here? I be saying. Says, what up, LBHT? Is it me or is EDC's favorite club Silver Shadows? Oh, are you must be from the Columbia area. Silver Shadows was a club in Columbia for the 40 crowd. Okay, Yes, and that's probably where he is looking for his wide receivers. Okay, because you got to have guys with experience to mentor the young ones. Okay,
Disgusting.
yeah, I'm gonna go on a whole rant about mentoring the young wide receivers. This seems to be a trend every year. Jay the Sixth, salute. Says Panthers
Yes,
been
hey.
busy. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Facts. Andrew is here. What's up, Andrew? Says hello, guys. Good to see you both. Good to see you,
What's
Andrew.
up, Andrew?
Appreciate you coming through. We got Urban in the house. Salute, Urban. Who else is in here? Our guy Jared Green's in the house. Salute, Jared.
What's
Southern
going on,
Ballers
Jared?
Show. Go subscribe to that show as well. We got Phantom Cyborg. Okay, man. People they want to talk some free agency. Noah's here. You know something's you know there's something to talk about. Says hola amigos. Hola, Noah.
What's going on,
Appreciate you.
Noah?
EDC gets all of his wide receivers from Silver Shadows and Odell's. All right, man. You guys see the thumbnail. All right. On one side, you got Dan Morgan cooking in the office. The other side, you see EDC cooking in the office. All right. Both GMs are cooking right now, except one is cooking steak and the other is cooking steakums. Okay. I think you know which one's cooking the steakums. All right.
Hey, listen, ain't nothing wrong with steakums. You know, you sitting at home, you hungry, you just want some a little low stress meal. You ain't worried too much about the quality. You ain't really, you ain't got no plans.
Listen,
you're not trying to impress nobody.
We grew up on steakums, but I now that I'm an adult, and I have a career, and I can afford things that aren't, steakums and spam and all the things that poor people eat. I realized that we were just poor.
You know, the steakums are, it's like after you cook the meat on the grill and you're scrubbing the grill with the spatula.
That's
and it's everything. Yeah, and it just you mash it all together and they're like, freeze it. Somebody will buy it.
I used to love those things, man. I used to love steakums. Make a steakum sandwich. Oh my God.
Put like 30 steakums on a sandwich to realize there's something other than bread in there, man.
And EDC, he loves those things. Okay, he says, "Hey, you can jazz up a steakum sandwich." All right. Ramon says college student. Oh,
he's ramen.
Oh yeah, ramen says college students. Yeah, ramen noodles too. It got me through the military. My first stretch in the military. And I was just a E2, okay? Oodles and noodles and tuna, okay? The hookup. Steakums got me through some nights as a kid. That's what I'm saying. You see, everything that you could think of that poor people would eat, that's what we ate. And we loved it. Yeah. One I shop around in front of the store and one is shopping around in front of the store, the other is picking up the food from the back door. Yeah. So okay. Jose really said, I don't speak poor. Them beans and franks don't hit the same way now, huh? Right. Not anymore. Once you get a taste of the finer things, man, you can't go back to that stuff. No. Vienna sausages don't sit in my stomach well anymore. All right. Shake and bake. Yeah. Steakums. Yeah. You know what steakums are, Osmond. I think they're still around. Are steakums still around?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. We're going to get into that. But first, we like to start every show with a Black History fact. And B and Okole have a Black History fact for you.
This week on LBHT's Black History Fact, Junior Bridgman, whose full name is Ulysses Lee Bridgman, was born on September 17, 1953, in East Chicago, Indiana. He stood out early in his basketball career at Washington High School, which earned him a scholarship to the University of Louisville. Under coach Denny Crum, Bridgman played a key role in taking the Cardinals to the NCAA Final Four in 1975. Drafted 8th overall by the Los Angeles Lakers in 1975, he was quickly traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. Bridgman played most of his 12-year professional career with the Bucks, known for his reliability and team-oriented approach. He averaged 13.6 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 2.4 assists per game, and maintained an impressive streak of 711 consecutive games. After retiring from the NBA in 1987, Bridgman ventured into the business world. Starting with one Wendy's franchise in Milwaukee, he expanded to own over 160 Wendy's and 120 Chili's restaurants, making his company Bridgman Foods, Inc., one of the largest restaurant operators in the nation. In 2016, Bridgman took his business ventures a step further by purchasing the iconic Ebony and Jet magazines. This move was driven by his commitment to preserving and uplifting black culture. Bridgman never forgot his Indiana roots, frequently giving back to his community through educational and development initiatives. His life and achievements serve as an inspiration long after his passing on March 11, 2025.
Salute to Bridges. He passed away yesterday.
Yeah.
On my son's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And happy birthday, Jacob. Our assistant producer, Jacob, his birthday was yesterday, turned 10, okay? Had a blast. Thank you to everybody that sent him birthday wishes. All right. Yeah. 120 Wendy's this man owned. And 100
it was 100 Wendy's, 120 Chili's. And he eventually bought into the Bucks as well.
Wow. That's something. DDSQ, what's good? Yeah, you're right, Jeremy. 71 is too young. You're right about that. Hendo's in the house. What's good, Hendo? Filthy says, wait, is East Chicago not Illinois? I had no idea.
I was thinking that while I was playing. Like, I would hate to be from a famous city, but not the famous place. Like, oh yeah, I'm from Paris, Texas. Yeah, I'm from East Side Chicago, Indiana.
Well, there's a Brooklyn in Maryland.
Right, yeah. And I would hate to be from there.
Just Al says, happy birthday to Jacob. I will pass that along to him. You're a Pisces too? Okay. I'm not good with signs. I just learned the other day that he was a Pisces. All I know is I'm a Taurus because everybody calls me stubborn.
That's because they don't mean nothing.
Whatever. What are you?
Capricorn.
Oh. Nobody says anything about Capricorns.
That's how we like it. I guess.
Yep, there's a Hollywood, Maryland. Yeah.
If you can make it there, you make it anywhere.
Yep. So, all right. So let's get to our two chefs. All right. Wow. I mean, everybody wants to talk. Let's get to the appetizer. I guess we'll start with the steakums. Okay. EDC has done nothing. All right.
This is true.
Signing Ronnie Stanley is what you were supposed to do. Okay. There was no option other than signing him. The things that people were talking about, letting him go and then moving Rosengarten to the left side and then figure it out on the right side. We draft somebody. Who do we draft? I don't know. We'll draft somebody. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's just no other viable option other than re-signing him, right? Anything less than that, you're conceding that you're not going to win this season, right? You're conceding the season because you don't have a functional O-line. So that was the bare minimum that you had to do. You still need two guards. It doesn't look like they're going to address the guards. Kevin Zeitler just got signed by the Titans. Was it B?
Yeah, 1 year, $9 million.
That's the move they should have made. You need to show up the guard spot. I don't understand this blind faith in both of them. I understand. Okay, if you think Falele because you watched him play all year and you just I don't know you're blind, but you think but you think he can turn it around. You see something from him. Fine. What about the left side?
Blind now is what we're saying. All right. On that note, we're gonna welcome our special guest to the show, Ferris Muthana. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing, Ferris?
Ferris. Damn it! Sorry, my bad. Sorry. Where are my air horns?
Oh,
I don't know where my air horns are.
I just said, "Where are my air horns?" It's
you're asking us like we took them.
Like it's not a YouTube channel with 2,000 subs. All right, calm it down. You don't need the air horns every time you come in here. Look, it wasn't. You didn't even have to go with Zeitler for $9 million. You could have signed Brady Christensen for slightly more than $3 million because he just came back to Carolina to be a backup essentially.
Who is the left guard right now? What's
Andrew
up, Coach?
Voorhees.
I lost my air horns.
That is
a
damn shame.
We know. And Andrew Voorhees. How can that organization with a straight face say they believe he can be the starting left guard?
Well, let me ask you this, Jose. How did they do it last year? Because that's exactly what they said to you last year.
Yeah, they're either liars or they're idiots.
Well, I mean, I think yes.
Found my air horns, guys.
Oh God.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'ma need a day off. I think I called Ferris up.
All right. Welcome to the show, Ferris.
What's up, everybody? So excited.
He was not going to let that go. He
couldn't lock in on the topic until he heard those air horns.
Yeah, I couldn't. I'm like Bucky. I'm like Bucky, man.
What's up, Adelia?
Hold on, Adelia.
Bucky with the things.
See, yeah.
I'll never lose my childlike wonder.
And nor should you. This is the thing right here. Big Cuz says we drafting someone. And yeah, you should be drafting someone, right? But right now fans are saying, okay, we're gonna draft somebody at corner, we're gonna draft somebody at edge, we're gonna draft somebody on the interior line because Michael Pierce just retired. We're gonna draft everything, right? And you don't have but the one first round pick. You know, and you can't I know it works out sometimes. It worked out for Baltimore last year with Rosengarten. You can't realistically expect anybody outside of the first round pick to be a day one starter who is playing well for the full season, which is why, you should be, and good teams do this, and Baltimore's done this in the past. You sign everything that you need in free agency to set you up for the draft to be able to just take the best players who are available at your pick. And if they're better than the guys you signed, great. If they come in and they're not as ready or as good as you expect, then you still have that veteran option to fall back on. But right now, they've let a lot of the O-line talent go in free agency. So there aren't really too many options left that they could, reliably put in to start if they don't get a rookie who can step in day one.
Well, yeah, and that's my issue with it. Yes, I agree with because I think they will draft somebody. I don't think they're going to draft them in the first round, which is if you're going to say, hey, we're going to get a starter.
Safety too, I forgot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Drafting that safety round one.
Yeah, if we're going to get a starter, then we need to look in the first round. For one, can you get a starter later on? Yeah, but that's not something you plan for, right? So it needs to be somebody, and where we're picking, it could be a case of, yes, we can get this guy that could be a starting guard, or we can get this edge rusher that fell, or another player, that's higher rated that fell. What do? Right? Nobody would begrudge them for going for the guy that they feel is a higher value. But you can't do that when you need a starter. You have to go with the need.
Yeah.
And that's the problem this team has had for years now.
Mm-hmm. But hey, we're here to talk about free agency and what they've done. They didn't sign a guard, but they did sign a wide receiver. Yeah. Ferris, what are your thoughts about DeAndre Hopkins finally, after 5 years of speculation, landing in Baltimore?
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Just same old Baltimore. They get their receiver 3 years late.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they get their offensive weapons 2 years late. Y'all should have, like I think a lot of people tried to get at y'all for getting Derrick Henry. They're like, oh man, look at those podcaster guys. But y'all should have been had Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
He was up for grabs 2 years ago. You know what I mean? And and the thing is, some of the draft capital that is given for some of these skill position players, you're like, we couldn't give up a fourth, or we couldn't give up a fifth or a third. We couldn't do that for a player that's proven and he's ready to go. Who's traded this year for like a fourth? Who was it? I don't. It was like a receiver.
I forget now. I mean, I know that a couple have just gotten cut, but I cannot remember.
I know
Debo went for a fifth.
Laramie Tunsil went for like a fourth.
Well, he went for, I think it was a few. It was a second. It was a second, a third, and a fourth, or something like that. And then
my bad. Sorry.
And then they gave up Tunsil in like a sixth. But
sixth.
But I mean, we don't need
Debo.
tackle. But
Debo went for a fifth.
Debo went for a fifth. So y'all couldn't give a fifth?
No.
Like I know Debo fat and probably a little slow, but he could get in shape to play with Lamar Jackson, maybe. But it's a fifth, right? You're losing a fifth though. You're not losing like a massive draft capital. And then, and how many fifths y'all got? How many compensatory fifths you guys are like? Well, 4 maybe, 3.
Well, they have 6 fourth-round picks right now since the compensatory picks came out. So you could have sent one of those. Oh, I'm sorry, 4 6th-round picks. My bad, 4 6th-round picks. They could have sent one of those for Cooper Kupp. Now he's available now, so you can go ahead and do that without the draft pick. But you could take one of those picks that you're not going to hit on anyway, and ensure that you get a guy who can contribute.
Also, too, the Jets cut Devontae Adams.
Mm-hmm.
He was right there.
He was,
but you didn't want to give him $30 million. You know what I mean? I think you should have went after Devontae. I agree with the chat. I wouldn't have went after Debo, but I'm just saying Debo was for a fifth. It's for a fifth. You're giving him a weapon. You guys couldn't, give up a fourth or a fifth. He may have been over the hill, maybe. I agree with the chat. He didn't look very good, but Devontae Adams was right there. Devontae Adams was like right there. They cut him. They cut him. So you didn't have to even give up nothing. You had to negotiate a good contract. And he said, I'd rather go to LA. You know what I mean? And play with I don't know, Matthew Stafford.
Matt Stafford and Puka Nacua.
Yeah, I guess so.
See, I see the chat, they're not feeling Debo Samuel, right? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
You're not feeling them, but you got DeAndre Hopkins. And I love DeAndre Hopkins. That's one of my favorite players, but
he ain't Texans DeAndre Hopkins
anymore. And it starts right on cue. Where are we getting Devontae Adams money? Okay, well, you don't sign DeAndre, that's $6 million right there. You cut Mark Andrews, that takes you up to $17 million, and then you restructure Lamar or
you don't have to restructure Lamar. You structure the deal so it doesn't cost that much against the cap. Like Ronnie Stanley.
Like you don't even. I'm saying if you want to get over the $23 million in year one, they could do that. So it's not a question of where you get the money. The money is there.
I actually tweeted this out the other day because I forget the guy's name that posted his salary cap. Let me see if I can find the tweet. It was from Jonas Schaefer.
Mm-hmm.
Jonas Schaefer. He tweeted what his cap hit would be this year, Ryan Stanley, and it wasn't a lot. It was like, I don't know, 9 million or something like that. It wasn't a huge hit. Nope, I'm wrong. Not 9 million. Ravens left tackle Ronnie Stanley's 3-year contract extension has 3 void years and a 2025 cap hit of just $5.8 million. Right. And I said, so next time somebody asks, how can we afford somebody? That's how you afford them.
So his 3-year extension has 3 void years.
Yep.
So basically, at any point, you guys can get out of the contract.
Well, no,
basically,
the void years, they just spread out the cap hit. So they're gonna have to pay that dead money after the
Okay.
the contract is over, but it allows you to lower cap hits and get guys onto the roster right now when you need them.
Exactly. Also, too, you know, like Dallas. This is a Dallas problem where they don't know how to give out contracts. They're a little later, a little too early. They you know, if Dallas can restructure CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott's contracts to free up more money, the Ravens can restructure. You know, someone brought up Nandi Medibike's contract or Lamar's contract. You restructure that. You cut Mark Andrews, you know, or, you know, you don't sign, like we said, DeAndre Hopkins, and then you get Devontae Adams. You know what I mean? You know, it's not like Devontae Adams is washed. He had a bad year. He had a mediocre year in Vegas after he had a good year. And then, you know, whatever happened in New York,
He played very well in New York.
Yeah.
You know, he still went over 1,000 yards last year. It's just you don't know because, you know, Jets and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and they're not winning. So
exactly.
yeah.
So he's like, I'm out. You know
It's not a question of can we afford them. We can absolutely afford them, and not only can we afford somebody like that. If this was a defensive player, you wouldn't even ask that question, right? If we were going after somebody on defense, you wouldn't ask how can we afford it. You would just say, man, you got to do it. I didn't hear anybody say this when there was talk about being able to trade for Myles Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Man, you know what? Shout out to Myles Garrett, man. He was like, I want to be a winner.
Well, hold on.
Like, how about 100? How about okay, sorry.
We're gonna discuss that in a later segment, news from around the NFL. But yes, shout out to Myles Garrett.
Yeah, and we want to also welcome our other guest here, Adrian, to the show. Thank you very much for joining us. How you doing, Adrian?
I'm good. How y'all brothers feeling?
Doing good, man. Good to see you.
Better than Ravens fans, I'll tell you that. Doing good.
You know, I'm okay. Like we're not in the worst position. Like if we didn't sign Ryan Stanley, that'd have been a wrap. So I am glad they got that deal done. They got him for under market value, right? So that was I hate it for Ryan Stanley. I wanted to make some more money, but that's good for us. Bringing in Hopkins is an upgrade from Nelson Aguilar, but this ain't enough. And the strategy that they're doing right now is the thing that I hate about this team. They just want to ball on the budget, right? It's not that they're sitting there saying, "Oh, well, we identified the best players to help us win next year, and they're still available, so we're just waiting." That's not what they're saying. They're just saying, we're not going to spend money. We'll let everybody else spend money, and then whatever is left over, we'll go dumpster diving. We'll go shop around in the clearance aisle and try to get some deals there.
I love it because I always wonder how long is it going to take, right? Big Cuz says, you act like we're that far away. We don't need the big names.
That's why you would need to make that splash, because we're not that far away.
But yeah,
if we were that far away, then I would say don't spend the money. Just draft and develop.
It's been 8 years of we don't need the big names, right? When is it that you think that this team is going to get over the hump in the playoffs without going out and acquiring higher level talent than you have been? You know, you've done this with multiple receivers at this point. You did it with Deshaun Jackson. You did it with Des Bryant. You did it with Odell Beckham. You did it with Sammy Watkins. You did it with Seth Roberts. You did it with Nelson Aguilar. Now you're doing it with DeAndre Hopkins. Why do you think that you don't need better than that when it keeps failing?
Like,
I could have told you Deshaun Jackson would have failed. I could have told you that.
Why do we look at a team like Philly? Why did Philly need Saquon Barkley when they just got what's his name? DeAndre Swift.
Mm-hmm.
They said
and
not
Kenneth
enough.
Gainwell.
Yeah.
And they drafted a running back.
Yeah.
And they had Miles Sanders before that.
And then they had honestly, they didn't really need like a top end running back because their offensive line is the reason most running backs had over 1,000 yards. But then they had a Hall of Fame running back. They're like, Hall of Famer with Hall of Famer, we win Super Bowls.
Why did they need AJ Brown and Devontae Smith?
Yeah. And it was also hilarious about that, right? So this is why Howie Roseman is probably the best GM in the game. He didn't draft Justin Jefferson. He chose Jalen Reagor. Everyone says, you messed up. You mess up. And he said, you know what? I messed up. The next year, draft comes, he trades for A.J. Brown. Because he realized I didn't draft possibly the best receiver in the NFL last year.
Yeah.
You know, if we projected, but I'm going to fix my mistake. I'm going to get you A.J. Brown. And then in the same sense, I'm going to draft the best wide receiver in next year's draft. Then Devontae Smith. So I just double, fixed my mistake. And now Philly fans don't care that they didn't draft Justin Jefferson because Jefferson is stuck in Minnesota. And they have a Super Bowl to cheer for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. A GM can make a mistake. That's perfectly fine. But fix your mistake. And that's what Howie Roseman does. I made a mistake. Let me fix it. Their defensive backfield last year was awful. Awful. God awful. He said, you know what? I'm going to draft two of the best corners in the draft this year. Mm-hmm. And Cooper DeJean and Kenyon Mitchell. And then I know my veteran cornerback in Darius Slay is going to come back healthy because last year he was injured. So now I have three cornerbacks that I'm good. And then now this year I cut Darius Slay because I'm just going to draft his replacement. Because I don't want to pay Darius Slay $20 million. I'll just replace him like I replaced him with the other two. That's what good GMing is, bro. That's what good GM is.
Yeah, well, the top of the market, there were guys out there that got paid. I mean, DK Metcalf got $30 million a year. Obviously, you knew that wasn't a play that the Ravens and DeCosta would make. But I felt like we could have played the middle and gotten to a Cooper Kupp, somebody in that range.
He's still free. You can get Cooper still.
Yeah, but picking up Hopkins at this point pretty much lets me know that they're not going after Cooper Kupp. Right. Because you're going to go after the guy you target first. You're not going to get your number 3 or 4 receiver and then try to pick up your number 2 or 1. Like, you're going to start with the guy at the top and then you're going to go down. So the fact that we didn't go after a guy that could be at least a 2 in our system, it just lets me know it's going to be more of the same next year. That's what I'm expecting.
Kim, Dak, and CD did restructure their contracts.
Yeah, and you didn't have to go $30 million for a DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is a good receiver. He's 27, 28, whatever he is now. 27, I believe. So yeah, he got that kind of up there contract. Devontae Adams is a better receiver and got paid less.
Yeah, he got $30 million. He got $30 million total. DK got $30 million a year.
Yeah. I do want to say one thing. So shout out to Kim.
Shout out to you, Kim.
Who's a Patreon member. Kim has been getting on me, rightfully so, because I do not check I don't check our DMs nearly enough. She DMs us on Instagram. I'm one man. I'm sorry. I'm one man. All right. And we have many social media accounts. They're all at LBHT Show. Hit us up on Blue Sky, IG, all that good stuff at LBHT Show. Okay. Kim has suggestions for the overtime show, and she, I didn't read them fast enough. Okay, so she got on B about that. I apologize, Kim, but we are going to discuss the salary cap on the overtime show tonight, as requested. And any members that want us to discuss anything on the overtime show, you could just hit us up, not just on IG, wherever, email, Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook, all that stuff. Just hit us up, get our attention, and just tell us what you want us to talk about. All right. I
want to point out the restructurement of the Dak and CD contracts.
Yes.
So their 2 restructurements freed up. This from Todd Archer, who covers the Cowboys for ESPN. Those 2 restructurements freed up $56.6 million in cap space for Dallas. So they have $56 million to play with. So they re-signed Marquise Bell and Kevontae Turpin, and they signed a couple others. But they're really freeing that up for Micah Parsons. They're freeing it up because they got to pay him in a year or 2, or they'll trade him depending on what Dallas wants. But Jerry makes sure people like Micah stay in Dallas, so he's definitely staying in Dallas, and he's going to get the contract he wants because Jerry does those contracts. He doesn't do the others, but he does that contract. The CD, Dak, Micah contracts. Those are Jerry. So that's what they're doing. So Steven's like, I know my dad's gonna give this dude the contract. Let me free up the money for him because I know how to do my job. My dad is just delusional, but I'll fix it. Him and Will McClay fixed Jerry's money mistakes in a sense. Where like you paid Dak too late, or you paid CD too late. Now you owe them more money than you could have paid them. Like that's what Cincinnati's screwed. Like Cincinnati is screwed because they're like non QB positions. We just saw what Myles Garrett got. What the hell is Jamar Chase gonna ask us for? Because you paid him too late.
More than that.
And now he's gonna be like,
yeah, well, he's going to ask for more than that, and you're going to pay it because you've already publicly said you're going to make him the highest paid non-quarterback in the league.
Exactly.
But
you traded Trey Hendrickson because you weren't going to pay Trey.
They didn't trade him yet.
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson, they traded him.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, is he still a Bengal? Okay.
Yeah, he's still a Bengal.
They're looking for a first plus.
Damn.
But moving on from Baltimore and their lack of activity. The Carolina Panthers and Dan Morgan have been out here, getting it done. All right. Now, it started off. No, they're getting it done. It started off very Panther-like when there was an alert that said that Milton Williams was coming to Carolina, and everybody got really happy.
Really?
It was a great day. Everybody was very excited. He was the top free agent. Everybody tweeted it. And then it was like 5 minutes later, it was, okay, it's not done yet. They're finalizing the contract right now. Okay, cool, whatever. And 10 minutes later, it was, okay, but some other team's still talking to him, but they're finalizing the deal right now. Okay.
As good as done.
Then I saw somebody delete their tweet about Milton Williams, and I was like, wait a minute. That's not great. I don't like that, but I'm going to keep the faith right now.
Right?
And then 10 minutes, God damn, bro.
Oh, sorry.
Why? Anyway, yeah, he's a Patriot. Anyway, moving on. That used to be a death blow for Carolina, right? It was, hey, we're the laughing stock of the league. We swung, we missed. We're gonna go back in our hole now. But Dan Morgan didn't let that slow him down at all. No. They went out, they signed Trayvon Moehrig, the safety out of Vegas. They went and they signed Tershawn Wharton, the D tackle from Kansas City. They went and signed a D tackle from the Rams. They went and signed an edge rusher out of Minnesota. And they've continued it today. Smaller moves today, but important moves still. They signed a linebacker from the Rams, Roseboom. They signed, well, I was going to say a wide receiver, but that guy doesn't play wide receiver. Dan Chazena, he's not going to play anything. But they went and signed Rico Dowdle, the 1,000-yard running back from Dallas. So, they're out, they're making their moves. They re-signed all of their own offensive linemen. So they're bringing everybody back on the line. They pay, by the way, more than any other team in the league on their offensive line because protecting their quarterback is actually a priority down south in Carolina.
Yes, it is.
So, they still have some work to do. Obviously, they're one of the worst teams in the league. They've got to go out. They've got to hit receiver. You want to hit tight end. You want to get another edge. They just need some playmakers at this point. But it's nice to see them being aggressive and making smart signings because it wasn't too long ago that they revamped their O-line by signing Pat Elflein and Cam Irving, and people tried to talk themselves into those being
that
good
was
moves.
A disaster.
Yeah,
that was a straight disaster.
Hey man, you could have signed a cornerback who just broke his leg to $36 million. So it could have been worse.
Who did that?
The New York Giants.
Who did you sign?
Paulson to Debo.
Yeah, but Paulson can play, man.
Yeah, I know, but he had broken his leg.
I thought you said quarterback. That's why I was confused for a second.
Or sign your stalwart wide receiver to the money that Saquon wanted.
Well, no, that's the market. He got the same contract Josh Palmer got. So so Josh Palmer make more than Saquon? So let's calm it down with you paid your wide receiver that nonsense.
He doesn't anymore.
Him and Josh Palmer got the same contract. All right. So if we're gonna let's make fun of the Bills for giving Josh Palmer the Saquon deal. It's not my fault that Saquon played running back. That's his fault.
Saquon's making a lot more than that now.
Exactly.
We're making fun of it because you could have secured Saquon for much
I
less.
agree with you.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
You don't have to share in our pain too, Ferris.
We're not going to go over this again. You absolutely did not agree with me.
Because you're wrong.
Absolutely did not.
This is what I said, and you put words in my mouth because you're a liar.
Nobody put words in your mouth.
Yes, no, this is what I said. I said you sign Saquon back and you get rid of the other guy.
He did say that.
Yeah. He absolutely did say that. But then we said, no, you keep Saquon anyway. And he said there's no point in keeping Saquon if you bring back Daniel Jones.
Exactly, because you're losers.
No, there is a point in bringing back Saquon. That's why you're wrong. And I don't understand why you don't get that part.
My thing is this: is if you got rid of Saquon, you should have got rid of Daniel Jones. That's why I was mad. Because if you either you get rid of both of them or you keep Saquon.
Well, no, but here's the problem, Ferris.
Start all over.
One is a Hall of Famer and one is Daniel Jones. They're not tied at the hip.
Calm it down on Hall of Fame talk yet.
They're not tied at the hip.
You know, he had one great year. Let's calm it down here.
He had one down here.
All right. Let's hold on. Time out.
Right. Just because Terrell Davis is Hall of Fame. All right.
One great year, Saquon Barkley.
Coping.
Who was 100 yards away from breaking the record last year?
I'm coping right now.
Good Lord.
All right.
Coping.
Let's get back to Dan Morgan cooking, okay?
Yeah, Dan Morgan cooking. Shout out to the
one that's cooking the steak here, okay? You missed our opening statement where I said one's cooking a steak and one cooking steakums.
He also J.C. Horn.
Yes. So listen, he's turned the heat up and low at times, okay? The steak might be a little uneven, but he's still cooking the steak. The J.C. Horn deal, J.C. Horn is currently the highest paid corner in NFL history.
You didn't have to say history. You could have just said currently. Everybody who's the highest paid currently is the highest paid in history. You didn't have to say the word history.
He's the highest paid corner in NFL history.
Whatever. All right, whatever. J.C. Horn got a little over 24 million. Did he hit 25?
I think 25.
Okay.
I could be wrong. 24, 25.
Okay.
Something like that.
The point is he's played a little more than half of his eligible games. He was drafted one spot before last year's Defensive Player of the Year. He's not an elite corner, and they just paid him more than Pat Surtain. So not great.
Okay.
But they balanced that out by signing Michael Jackson for very cheap. So
is he gonna bring the thriller with him?
He did last year.
I'm gonna say this in a slight defense. I think battling through injuries. I think he played solid last year, right? I'm not saying he battled through injuries last year, but I mean leading up to last year.
Quentin Johnston twice for touchdowns in that game.
But I think he played solid. I
was at that game.
Right. I think another year he'd be closer to his true form. I think he will be a top corner, and plus having other talent out there, because I mean the defense was really bad. You had guys that were hurt and guys just weren't playing well. Having other talent out there on the D line, having Derek Brown come back, and having Trayvon Moore, I think you'll probably add some more secondary in the draft. He's going to look a lot better. The defense is going to look a lot better, but I think he will make more plays just on his, by himself.
He's a good player. I'm not saying he sucks. He's a good corner, but you don't pay good players, as you said, the most money in the history of the league.
Well, look, Dan. Listen, for better or worse, Dan has a soft spot for the guys on his team.
Dan got a problem
to take care of them.
No.
He has a problem saying no. Like he pays cornerbacks and running backs. I mean, it's not just with Dan. Like, this is going on from before Dan. They pay running backs like no other.
41 million per year is what they're paying J.C. Horn, Tommy Tremble, and Chuba Hubbard.
So the guy. Wait, was he?
I forgot about Tommy Tremble.
Was he on the staff when they drafted those guys?
He wasn't there for J.C. Horn, I don't believe, or at least he wasn't in his in a prominent role. He was the assistant GM last year when they took Xavier Legette instead of Ladd McConkey. I don't think that he was. I'm not sure if he was in the organization prior to that, but I'm just looking at it, and you're just over investing in certain positions. Like you said, you're overpaying your own guys. And every GM has their faults. So if he's going to be aggressive in free agency and improving the team, and building through the offensive and defensive line, and the fault comes in that, hey, you kind of overpay your own guys, I guess we'll take that.
No, the problem with always the thing with the J.C. Horn pick that I always found the problem is he wasn't the best corner in that draft. No one agreed. Everyone was like, it's Patrick Surtain Jr. He's one. So if you wanted to draft a corner, instead of, because the conversation me and Brodny used to have is, you should have drafted Justin Fields. That should have been Justin Fields. Right?
Well, it should have been Justin Fields. It should have been Rashawn Slater. It should have been Michael Parsons. It should have been Devontae Smith. And then it should have been, well, he went already, but it should have been Pat Surtain. And then it should have been, maybe J.C. Horn then at that point.
Yeah, because if you want to draft a corner, you should have done Patrick Surtain Jr. Yeah. And I don't understand paying good players record-breaking money, because you're a good player, that's fine, you're nice, but I'm not gonna make you the highest paid player at your position.
The alternative is he walks, you get nothing for him, or maybe a comp pick for him, and you drafted him in the top. You drafted him in the top 10. Like, my thing is, he was a top 10 draft pick. Point. Like, he's a top 10 draft pick. He is not worth the money based off of his previous play. Sometimes guys are getting paid off of what they're projected to do. If you feel like he's going to be a top 5 corner in the league and he makes you look smart, then it was a great move. Now, right now, it doesn't look that great because of the injury history, because he hasn't been as good as Pat Surtain Jr. But Pat Surtain Jr. could fall off a cliff by next year or 2 years. I've seen corners be the best in the league, and literally a year or two later, they're Josh Norman. They're like regular guys out there. Like, it happens all the time. I saw him with you guys when
Tavon Young was right there. LaDarius Webb was right there. Why it got to be Josh Norman?
We talk about the Panthers. So like,
you could have said Xavier Rhodes.
We could have named.
You all talking about the Panthers, B?
We could have named dozens of corners, but a lot of guys, they're at the top of the league, and then you look.
It is a volatile position.
Okay.
It's a volatile position, and that's even more reason to not pay guys who aren't great, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're banking on him being great, and
they are.
That's what it is. I think it's that type of pay.
And the thing too is, you can pay a corner this much money, and they can be great for you, but then your team still stink because all the other stuff you need to like. I remember when Tampa Bay got Darrelle Revis from New York, and they're we got Darrelle Revis. And they gave him $99 million, even though none of it was guaranteed, which was a bad thing by his GM.
No, he had already signed that contract. He had no more guaranteed money left, and he played out the duration of that contract.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But Darrelle Revis was good to great for Tampa Bay. He did, but the problem is, the team stunk. And then they were like, we don't need Darrelle Revis anymore. Cut him. He goes to New England. And then people were reminded again, oh, snap, Darrelle Revis was great. He's like, I've been great. Y'all just weren't watching Tampa Bay Buccaneers games because we stunk. And that's the same thing here. He's good, and you may have spread that money around the other parts of your defense, or you could have then, if you took some of his money and probably added it to the Milton Williams deal, would Milton Williams be in New England?
Right. Now, and ultimately, this is about Dan Morgan's negotiation ability.
Yeah.
More than it's about J.C. Horn, because J.C. Horn is a good player, and this is, by the way, this is true of everybody. This is true of DK Metcalf making his $30 million. This is true of, like you said, Milton Williams getting his $26 million despite never really being a starter. This is true of Myles Garrett, going over $40 million. The contract shocks you today, and it's going to look like a deal in 2 years. Because the salaries keep on going up. They're going to keep on going up. So it's not even about J.C. Horn and what he's being paid. It's about the fact that you have your GM and you have a guy who's clearly underperformed, especially in comparison to the corner who was taken right after him and who has missed a whole bunch of time in injury, and you couldn't talk him down from being the highest paid player ever. So that's concerning. And it's the same concern that I have with the Chuba Hubbard contract, who's a good player, who had a great year for Carolina. Why is he getting $8 million a year when you just drafted his replacement in the second round, right? And you gave him that contract before Jonathan Brooks even played, so it wasn't even like, oh, he got hurt again, so we got to sign Chuba. You made that decision before you even saw Jonathan Brooks, right? And then you went out and you signed Tommy Tremble. Like, and granted, again, this is a 2-year deal, like really a 1-year deal. They can cut Tommy Tremble after this season, no harm, no foul. But it's $8 million for Tommy Tremble. Why? You got to be able to talk guys down.
Well, I feel like Carolina is making themselves a destination for free agents, because guys are getting paid over there. And you juxtapose that to Baltimore, who wants to come here unless they're at the end of their road, because they're not going to get paid, at least not market value. They're going to have to take a deal to come here. And you're selling guys on, well, you can play with Lamar, you can win a championship. In Carolina, is you're selling guys on hope and that you're going to be able to get paid and that they're going to be a playoff team, maybe even as soon as next season. So I think that sometimes when you are a bad team, and, Carolina has been bad. I'm not saying they're going to be bad this year, but they've been bad. You got to overpay and sweeten the pot for guys that want to come there, man. Like,
no, absolutely. But JC doesn't know about winning, though. He doesn't know about those other teams. All right, he ain't never played nowhere else. You got to talk him down.
Also, too, when you do negotiate these contracts, like, I don't know how much this like even matters, like, because he spent a year or two in New Orleans, Dan Morgan, and he was with Mickey Loomis and them, and every year the Saints are always $50 million over the cap, and you're like, how are they gonna do this again? And then week before the season, they're $30 million underneath the cap, and you're like, how? Because it ain't real.
Well, and that's why Carolina got Brant Tillis from Kansas City.
Yeah,
he was their cap guy. So I was very optimistic about this team. And look, again, these are all kind of minor complaints because the fact is that Carolina has Bryce Young on his rookie deal, and this is when you're supposed to spend money. I just, if you're going to spend $8 million for a tight end, maybe not Tommy Tremble. That's all.
Yeah. Get like try to snag Kyle Pitts away from Atlanta.
Go trade for Dallas Goedert. Go sign
Dallas Goedert.
Mark Andrews.
It ain't got to. No, thank you. It ain't got to be Tommy Tremble.
Wow.
Well, I mean, you all are hanging on to Mark Andrews to pivot back to Baltimore here. We're now in the new league year, and I don't see any. Let me check real quick. I don't see any headlines that say that Mark Andrews or Justin Tucker have been cut.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second.
What
happened? What happened with this investigation with Justin Tucker? This is the longest investigation I've ever seen, man. Like, waiting for the investigation to play out, waiting for the process to play out. The league hasn't. I mean, are they still looking into it? Are they still in Baltimore? They still interviewing people? Like, what's going on there?
Man, Twitter crashed and they said, "Look, let's hightail it out of here. No one's going to see.
No one's going to see.
Let's get this free agency ball rolling."
Mm-hmm.
Well, they counting on people having a short-term memory because we live in a society where something new will happen and everybody forgets all about Untucker or Toucher or whatever you calling them. And if he was a brother, I think he would have already been cut. But he's not. He's not a brother. And he's an other in a town where we value those guys. And I think that they're just waiting for stuff to blow all the way over and be water under the bridge, and then hoping that we forget all about everything that happened.
Well, hold on here, because hold on one second, because it says innocent till proven guilty. One, that doesn't apply here. Where nobody's trying to send Justin Tucker to jail. Second, that's not a thing that we practice in this country. Over half the people who are incarcerated right now have not been convicted of what they're incarcerated for. And third, you should be cutting Justin Tucker based off of performance, not what happened in the spas. I mean, that too, but even if that never happened, you should be cutting him based off his performance last year.
But the spy is a straw that broke the camel's, or should have broken the camel's back.
Yeah, both of them are fireable offenses, right? And putting them together, he should be gone.
I think
that's what it is.
He's saying they didn't cut Watson. You talking about Deshaun Watson? They can't cut Deshaun Watson. His contract is 100% guaranteed.
Like they could, but then it's just
they're still paying him. Yeah, they're still going to keep paying him. And also too, like with the Deshaun Watson thing, it was every day. Well, everyone was being reminded of what Deshaun Watson did, and justifiably so, because but Justin Tucker was like, he did it. But all right, see you guys later.
Yeah, look, one is
he also played two different positions.
Is a $200 million quarterback, one is a kicker that makes like 15 million.
And you certainly should be talking more about Justin Tucker, but that is going to account for a wide gap in the coverage. Deshaun Watson was one of the faces of the league.
Yes. But what I was gonna say is like what they're doing, like, because yes, he should just be cut. There shouldn't be much to it, but this team values kickers way too much, and I think they want to make sure that they have a replacement for him before they just get rid of him. I think they'll look in the draft. They'll absolutely look in the draft. They'll look, or after the draft, they'll try to bring in some competition. They usually bring some extra kickers into camp anyway. I think they're going to really evaluate this time, and then they'll cut him maybe late, maybe during camp or something like that. But they're not going to cut him until they know that they have his replacement on hand, which is even more frustrating because you care more about making sure you have a kicker shored up than you do your left guard position.
Yes.
Like we value making sure we have middle linebacker shored up before your right tackle. What we put value in over here is exactly what's holding us back from winning a Super Bowl. Those aren't things that you put priority over, right? Now I want to circle back to this because I want to clip this later. DeAndre Hopkins signed here for $6 million. Okay,
Is it 1 year?
1 year. 1 year. I like DeAndre Hopkins a lot. He should have been a Raven a long time ago. But it is extremely hard for me to get excited about this. Not only am I not excited about it, I'm extremely frustrated with this team. It has nothing to do with DeAndre Hopkins. I think Hopkins, one, is obviously an upgrade from Nelson Aguilar, right? No disrespect to Aguilar. But that's not good enough, right? Like maybe he comes in here and he still has a little bit left and he gets shock everybody and be a wide receiver one for one more year and he looks great, right? And people will say EDC is a genius, but not really. Go and get guys that can play and sign them to a long-term deal so there's some stability there with that player and Lamar Jackson. These 1 year rentals are not doing it. I don't understand why they keep wasting everybody's time with it. It's always, hey, this guy can come in and be a mentor to the young wide receivers. Man, how many mentors do these guys need? Right? You just brought in Deontay Johnson last year to be a mentor. How did that work out? We had Sammy Watkins here before. How did that work out? Des Bryant. How did that work out?
Why the hell would you want Des Bryant to be your mentor?
But that's what they always say. That's what fans always say. And I know it's a coping mechanism. I know you guys don't believe that. But it's always, they can come in, they got experience. They can come in and mentor the young wide receivers. Players that used to be good or used to be great, when they get older and they're catching on with the team, they're not coming in here to mentor anybody. They're coming here to take somebody's job and make money. Just like Kyle Van Noy and Jadeveon Clowney did. Right? They weren't coming in here to mentor Owe and Ojabo. They came in here to take their jobs.
And Justin Houston too.
Justin Houston. Yes.
And they did. Because the rookies you drafted couldn't take out a 34-year-old.
Yeah.
And if it's about mentorship, Devontae Adams was sitting out there. He's a player that is north of 30, has done everything that you can do in the NFL, and still has the juice left. Like you can tell he has a lot more left in the tank than Hopkins does. And again, that's no offense to Hopkins. I think he's a Hall of Famer. It would have been great to get him in 2018, 2019, pre-COVID, And right now, he is an upgrade over Nelson Aguilar. But I want to upgrade over Zay Flowers. I want to upgrade over at least Rashad Bateman, if that's what we're doing with the wide receiver corps. And I know you said earlier first that Cooper Kupp is still available, but us picking up Hopkins, I already have zero faith that we're not going to go after Kupp because it'll be we picked up Hopkins to shore up the wide receiver group, and maybe we draft a wide receiver in the third, fourth round that can't get off the bench like every other wide receiver we draft in the third, fourth round. We got Tylen Wallace sitting out there. Probably not going to resign him at this point. So we draft wide receivers. We don't develop. James Prochet, where is he at right now? Devin Duvernay, where is he at right now? Hollywood Brown, where is he at right now? So we draft guys. We draft guys. They don't last with the team. They end up going somewhere else, and it's not like any of them ever set the world on fire. So we obviously don't draft well at the position. At the very least, there's only 3 ways to build a team in the NFL or any sport: drafting, free agency, and trading. They're the only 3 ways you can build a team. If we're not going to be good at drafting, then we need to be able to go out and pay guys that are proven commodities while they still have tread on their tires, not when they're 3, 4, 5 years past their prime.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. And also, too, because, speaking of the Cooper Kupp thing, it's just another DeAndre Hopkins thing. Cooper Kupp, he hasn't been the same since that injury. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like the same. He's kind of lost his juice a little. So if you guys get Cooper Kupp, even with DeAndre Hopkins, you got Cooper Kupp probably 2-3 years too late as well. You know what I mean? So like it's the same, it's the same merry-go-round, because like you said, Adrian, you're upgrading your receiver 3, but you want an upgrade from receiver 2 or 1. You know what I mean? We're not saying Zay Flowers is a bad player. He's a very good player. He's an idiot sometimes, but he's a very good player. Like, who dives for a touchdown when you know you're going to fumble? But that's just another case. But
you don't think you're going to fumble.
Why even do that? I don't know why you even try to
make
that.
A play.
Yeah, well,
get a touchdown.
You were at the 1 yard line. Just get to the 1 yard line.
It wasn't the play. It was a good play by the defense, man. Like it was a perfect time, punch out. Like, I don't put that on.
The play before you can talk about Zay Flowers being an idiot when you got the taunting penalty, but not so much of that. But and to go back to your mentorship point, Jose, the other part of that is I don't think that young talented players listen to washed up vets the way that fans think they do. Right? Yeah. Like, you don't, if you are Zay Flowers, and you think, hey man, I'm next, I'm going to be that number 1 receiver, I'm about to break out, I'm going to be a top receiver in the league. You ain't trying to hear what some 500-yard receiver got to say to you. He can't play no more. Like, you're better than him at this point. So, I mean, whatever, now, and some of that is just the attitude of the particular player. Right. But I feel like if you want to be the mentor, you want to have somebody come in and teach, they have to still be great. Why is Hopkins different? Because
because says Hopkins is different, because I hope you're right. I'm a big fan of DeAndre Hopkins. I hope you're right. But I just want to point out, every year we do this. Like we do this on this show. Okay, we had the argument with Des Bryant. People were mad at us when we were saying, why would you sign somebody that's been out the league for almost 3 years, right? And we're saying you're not going to get anything out of Des Bryant. People were like, hey, Des Bryant's him, right?
That's crazy.
They did.
Yeah, people I know. That's why I'm laughing, because I could have told you he wasn't, because I remember watching him.
Sammy Watkins, same thing, right? Like
Sammy Watkins.
We do this every time we go and sign a washed up wide receiver, right? Somebody that used to have it but doesn't have it anymore. We all it's always this way. Even when Deshaun Jackson got here, people are like, oh man, he's still a burner, and I joked about how he'll
burner.
Yeah, I joked about how he'll get a 40-yard catch and then he'll have to come out the game, and then he actually did that when he came over here. But people believe that because it's your team. I get it, and you want to think the best of that team. But at some point, you have to get tired of them doing the bare minimum, because that's exactly what EDC is doing right now. He's doing the bare minimum.
And because the thing is, we're not asking for 1,200 yards. You don't ask that from anybody. You're not asking that from Zay Flowers either. You're asking for a guy who can come in and make plays against the best defenses in the league in the biggest moments in the biggest games. He's going to come in. He's going to give you what Odell Beckham gave you. Odell came in and he gave you 550 yards or so, a couple touchdowns, and y'all were chasing that man with pitchforks and torches on his way out of Baltimore. You're not going to get more out of DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins is coming off of his worst season as a pro, and like he's not going to get better, right?
Yeah, I mean, he had 450 yards last season between the Titans and the Chiefs. And if he was such a great mentor, why didn't the Chiefs keep him there for Xavier Worthy?
And Rashee Rice.
And Rashee Rice, who missed most of the season, if not all the season last year.
And Marquise Brown.
Yeah, so you got 3 receivers under 26 years old there. If he was the mentor that they needed, you think the Chiefs wouldn't know that? There wasn't an aggressive market out there for DeAndre Hopkins. And all 32 GMs aren't idiots in the NFL. Like, maybe 25 of them, but all 32 of them aren't dumb. So it seems like there would have been more money available, more of a process of extra teams getting involved and picking them up. A couple years ago when Hopkins was on the market, there were a bunch of teams that were in on trying to get him. We were one of them supposedly, but then the same thing happened. We pulled out, pause, and we didn't do it, but that's normally the MO of the Ravens. It's like we'll be thrown in when a guy's a hot commodity, and because somebody gives up more than we're willing to give up, we won't give up that second round draft pick or that third round pick that it takes to bring a guy here when they still have a lot left in the tank. And right now, I don't think he has it. I'm hoping I'm wrong. And I said it last year when he went to the Chiefs. I don't really think he has a lot left in the tank. And the first game, I think he came out, scored a touchdown. He didn't do a whole lot out there. He scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl, but I believe that was super garbage time. It wasn't when the game was still in reach. I mean, the game was out of reach pretty much from the second quarter on. So I just don't think Hopkins is going to be the guy that takes us over the top. I would love for us to try to get that big time splash free agent. And I don't think we're going to do it because EDC, he's shopping at Wish, he's shopping at Temu, he's shopping at Walmart, and he's not going to spend the money that it takes to get that guy here.
No. MDT Sports says Titans quarterback was trash. If this is in reference to me saying that he had his worst season, I wasn't talking about the portion in Tennessee. I was exclusively talking about the part in Kansas City where he was averaging about 43 yards per game, which is lower than any other point in his career except the half a season he played in Tennessee. So he was playing with Pat Mahomes, and he was not making any kind of difference. They struggled to throw the ball more than they ever have.
I want to point out that this man was getting like 1,700 yards with some of the worst quarterbacks in Houston.
Yeah. He had with TJ Yates. All right, so trust me. He's seen a Will Levis. Okay, you know what I mean. So
Matt Shaw.
Yeah,
Matt
exactly.
Shaw,
No,
king of the pick six.
Yeah, like the fun fact too is he won 2 playoff games with TJ Yates. 2 playoff games with TJ Yates. So Will Levis, he's like, I've been here before. Also, I saw a tweet earlier today, or yesterday, which is really funny, where it's like, a receiver's career ends if he's in Tennessee or Baltimore, because they always
sent me. He sent me that.
Exactly.
He sent me that meme earlier.
Because I started to remember, like, really, it's like, and then I remembered the day I knew Randy Moss's career was over when Tennessee traded for him.
Yeah, but that meme wasn't entirely fair though, because to be real with you, they had Steve Smith Sr. on there, and I don't know why he shouldn't have been included. And he had Anquan Bolden on there. Like, he didn't win a Super Bowl with the Ravens. Like, he wasn't our best offensive weapon, or at least second best back then. But, I understand the point. Derek Mason's another guy, went from Tennessee to Baltimore and, had probably like a good, strong 4 years.
He turned up over here.
I mean, he was known as a returner. For most of his career in Tennessee, he came to Baltimore, and he was a legit number 1 receiver, more of a possession.
That is ancient history.
I think the problem also with Anquan Bolden.
No, but the meme that he saw earlier had those guys on there.
Well, yeah.
Which wasn't fair for some of those guys. Des Bryant and Odell is fair. Like, Odell is fair ground. Mike Wallace is fair ground. Lee Evans is fair ground. Like, these guys that, had great careers before they got here.
Did you have Stevie Johnson?
Did we have Johnson? I don't think we had Johnson.
Okay. No, we have Steve.
We had John Brown is another one who came in and do nothing.
Because
another-
we're not. He says you can't judge a man when he plays on a team a half a season. Nobody's judging him off a half a season. He hasn't been that guy for a couple of years. That's why he played in Tennessee, right? Kansas City was desperate at receiver, so they took a swing to get DeAndre Hopkins.
in Arizona?
He's not that guy anymore.
He was in Arizona.
He was in Arizona, right? So, the David Johnson trade.
But because this is a conversation that I hate having because we do this every year. I don't want to argue about whether or not he has something left in the tank. We all know Davante Adams is still that guy, right? Like we know if we get Davante Adams, he can still ball. Those are the moves that we need to make, not this. And we have to sit here and argue what he can and can't do because even you, I don't think believes he can get, or he has the ability of getting 12, 13, 1,400 yards anymore, right? Whether you want to say, hey, our offense doesn't allow for that, which I disagree. I think Zay Flowers went over 1,000 last year, but you don't think DeAndre Hopkins is that kind of wide receiver anymore. But you think he can contribute. You think he can be a solid player here. That still ain't good enough, right? Like Adrian said, man, like, look for an upgrade over Zay Flowers or at the very least Rashad Bateman.
Because
get him a star.
Yeah, nobody has said it's not an upgrade. It's an upgrade over Nelson Aguilar. But the problem is your 1 and 2 aren't good enough. That's the problem. Nelson Aguilar was not the problem in Baltimore last year. He caught 14 passes. The problem is you don't have the top of the roster guys that these other teams have. You just don't.
Also, too, because you keep asking who was his quarterbacks. And we keep telling you, with DeAndre Hopkins, it never mattered. It never mattered. He only had Deshaun Watson for 2 years in Houston. Every other year, it was either Matt Schaub, TJ Yates, or Brandon Whedon. So it didn't matter who was throwing the ball. He was going to get 1,000 and a double-digit touchdowns because he was going to get his. It just the team wasn't doing. You know what I mean? They had a max of wild card weekend, and that was it. Then Deshaun came, and they made the AFC Championship. So, and then when he went to Arizona, before they drafted Kyler Murray, who did they have? I don't remember who they had.
Josh Rosen.
Exactly. Like it didn't matter who his. It just didn't look good. It looked like we were seeing the end of one of the best receivers in the game that we've been watching. Like him and Julio Jones. It's kind of like the end of their era of receiver. It just didn't. So he's receiver 3. But we're saying receiver 1 and 2 ain't good enough.
And here's the thing. Rock says,
what's up, Rock?
Truth be told, Ravens have a solid wide receiver room. Pass game coordinator is the question. Yes, they do have a solid wide receiver room. But every other great quarterback just about has great wide receivers. Now, if you think about, and this is just all throughout NFL history, you think about great quarterbacks, you remember them and the great wide receiver that they had who paired with them, right? Lamar has never had that. And we're saying that he needs that.
Why can't he get a legit one out here?
Yeah, man. Joe had Jerry and John and Dwight Clark and Roger Craig. You know what I mean? Troy Aikman had Michael Irving. Dan Marino had the Marks.
The Duper and Clayton.
Now, for those of you who were born this century, Joe Burrow has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Pat Mahomes had Tyreek Hill, right? And he had Travis Kelce. Josh Allen had Stephon Diggs.
Jalen Hurts has AJ Brown and Devontae Smith.
I want you guys to think about this. Jamar Chase, the Triple Crown winner, led the league in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, right?
With T. Higgins on the team.
The Bengals said, we're not going to let T. Higgins go. We will franchise tag T. Higgins, and we will pay him and also make Jamar Chase the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. What does that tell you?
And Brown.
They're going to lose a lot of 45 to 52 games.
I'm okay with that.
They said they don't, and they're willing to let Trey Hendrickson, one of the best edge rushers in the game, walk. Okay, because that's where they put the value. We need to make sure that Joe Burrow has weapons around him at all times. Because yeah, the defense might suffer, but the defense is never going to win you games. It's your quarterback, and your quarterback has to have the best weapons possible around him.
And then when Joe Mixon left, they replaced him with Chase Brown.
Yep.
You know,
You didn't even notice.
yeah, no one cared because Joe Burrow and the receivers took it over. Because you didn't care, you know.
Because the reality is, when it comes down to it, the defense has to win every single play, right?
Yeah.
You got to win 3 in a row to get the offense off the field. You got to win every play to keep them out of the end zone. The offense has to win once. And if you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, you'll take your chances on winning, that one play more often than the opposition does.
Yeah, if you look at like Justin Jefferson, so to speak, like Sam Darnold should be calling this man, should be naming one of his kids Justin, because if you look at the contract that he just got, this is a man that was about to be out of the league, and then he got $30+ million per year,
and
just off of one season playing with a number one. He never played with nobody like that when he was with the Jets.
God bless.
And you see what a number one wide receiver does for a team. Even if you look at like Jared Goff with Amon-Ra St. Brown. St. Brown, nobody thought he was going to be what he ended up becoming. But he's a clear top 5, top 10. You thought you didn't.
Yeah,
he was like the 10th
watched
wide receiver drafted that year.
I disagreed with it because I watched him at USC and I was like, that guy's top 5.
He's one of the top 5 receivers in the league now. And you see, nobody's talking about Jared Goff because before he's just an average guy that can win with the right team around him. Now people talk about him like he's a top 10 quarterback. And that's what having a number one wide receiver does. Lamar has never had that guy. And you're going to tell me that Zay Flowers is really a one. I love Zay Flowers. He's a top of the line too. He's a Scottie Pippen. He is not a Michael Jordan. And sometimes you got to be real with yourself. Like just do inventory on the team and say, do we have enough weapons to win? Because when we needed to score the football against Buffalo, we didn't have enough weapons to get it done. And when is DeCosta going to be 100% real and say, I need to put more money on this side of the football and stop making excuses about being over the cap or not being able to get guys to restructure to create cap room? Other GMs know how to create cap room. They know how to prioritize the guys that they really want. Why can't we seem to do that here? Because we've been one piece away for about 5 years now, and it looks like we're going to remain one piece away for another season if things don't change.
And the thing too, Adrian, that's really disheartening is you talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown in Detroit and how he's helping out Jared Goff and Justin Jefferson for Sam Darnold, right? They didn't say we've got our guy and start building the defense, right? They drafted Jameson Williams in the top 12, top 15. They went and they signed David Montgomery. Then they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs in the top 15. Then they went and got T.J. Hawkinson, Sam Laporta, and they kept on building. They have playmakers all over that offense. Their depth receivers are playmakers, even though they're not as good, but they're still playmakers. Minnesota, they had Justin Jefferson. They went out and they drafted Jordan Addison, right?
Then they traded for T.J. Hawkinson from Detroit.
Then you got the Cincinnati we talked about. They've got Jamar Chase. They franchised T. Higgins for the second year in a row. The Rams, they had Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. They said Cooper's a little older. We're going to let him go. We're going to bring in Devontae Adams. So all around the league, GMs and teams are trying to get 2 number ones, and Baltimore refuses to even attempt to get 1.
Yeah, because let's look at Philadelphia, right? A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley. And then they had Kenneth Gainwell and Will Shipley behind Saquon Barkley. So they had depth at there. And then they was like, you know what? We need a third receiver. Jahan Dotson. They take Jahan Dotson from him. And then they have Grant Calcaterra, who's a very solid backup tight end who started for them in place of Dallas Goedert and was one of their best players when Dallas Goedert was out. So they have 2 tight ends. So, but no one's saying like, oh, Jalen Hurts has too much. Howie Roseman was like, give me another one. I want another one. But Lamar can't get 1.
I know that we're not super high on Debo at this point, but they've got Terry McLaurin, and they say, "Yo, go get us Debo too."
Yeah.
Right.
No, because
We'll at least see what he's got left for that 5th round pick, but we got to try and get some more talent around Jaden because we're not going to rest on our laurels and say, "Hey, just because we made it last year means we're going to be back again."
Yeah, they get him Larry Tunsil too. They try to show up their offensive line.
That was
because they realized their quarterback is the reason why they were competitive last season. Lamar Jackson's the only reason. Lamar's the only reason that Ed DeCosta still has a job. Only reason he has a job. Because he is not a competent general manager in any way. So why not surround a guy who is responsible for your well-being, essentially, with the right pieces for him to look good? Because when he looks good, you look good, DeCosta. Give him a number 1 wide receiver and see if he can win with that, man. Like, because at this point, we're left to fantasize about if he had one of those top guys. Because every time we get a name, it's a Hall of Famer that's about to retire next season or halfway through the season if they can make it long enough to make it through the season. So it's like, stop trying to appease the fan base with big names that are far past the prime, because the smart fans know, they know that you should have got DeAndre Hopkins 5, 6 years ago. They know you should have got Odell Beckham 4 or 5 years prior, but you didn't do that.
Because why is that what they should have done before paying Lamar? Those teams that we mentioned have paid their quarterbacks. The Eagles paid Jalen Hurts, right? Yeah. The Lions, well, I mean, I guess technically the Rams did it, but Jared Goff has been paid.
Oh, they give him a contract extension.
Okay, yeah. So Joe Burrow's been paid. Like, you don't pay your quarterback and then stop trying.
Mm-hmm. And then also too,
there's always an excuse for not getting Lamar help. Like, it's just we're not because
he got paid, but everybody else that got paid, like you said, B, has a number 1 receiver, and general manager prioritized getting them a number 1 wide receiver. Your quarterback had 44,000 plus yards passing last season, had almost 1,000 yards on the ground with a number 2 masquerading as a number 1 with a fake number 1 tight end who is not a number 1 tight end anymore. He did all of that with what people said was past his prime, Derrick Henry. How about you get him guys that are in their prime right now? If he had Saquon Barkley last year, how does that team look? You could have went out and paid Saquon, but you didn't do it.
Also, too, there's a one weapon that the Detroit and the Eagles and and the Chiefs last year had that we don't really talk about. We're talking about number 1s and all. They have the 2 best offensive lines in the NFL.
Yes.
Like bar none. Detroit and Philly. And here's the thing about Philly too is they've replaced people. Jason Kelce retired last year. And then they were like, you know what, we're gonna replace him with this random kid named Cam Jurgens. It's gonna work. Then they're like, we're gonna bring in Tyler Steen because it's gonna work. I'm like, how? I was like, trust me, it's gonna work. And guess what? Saquon Barkley almost had 2,500 yards rushing.
He should have had it,
but they sat him out. But and then in Detroit, Tyler Decker, they drafted Penei Sewell, Frank Ragnow. And then they have a Dan Skipper who's the swing tackle. He's the swing tackle, Dan Skipper, who would start on most teams, but he's their swing tackle.
Ravens don't have one, by the way.
Yeah, and because he's saying that A.J. Brown got there before they paid the quarterback. Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't get rid of him.
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna talk about salary cap in the overtime show. Patreon.com/LBHT Show. Go sign up for as little as $5 a month. It's well worth the price of admission. All right.
Like you want to know how many teams outside of Baltimore know wide receiver is one of the most important positions in the league. Pittsburgh got George Pickens and went and traded for DK Metcalf. They don't even know who's playing quarterback for him.
Literally.
But they said, when he gets here, he's gonna have somebody to throw to.
Hey, perfect segue. Okay, we're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about some moves around the NFL real quick, and then we're gonna do our court of public opinion, which I think
fun fact about DK Metcalf. You know how he had that list? I want to play in a warm weather climate. I want to play da. How about $30 million? I'll go anywhere.
Yeah, he said the warm weather thing wasn't true.
Man, he's a liar.
I don't believe him. Or contender.
I don't believe anything that comes out of that man's mouth.
So I mean, let's start with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, man, they went all out for DK. They got him. They paid him. They went and signed Darius Slay. They went and picked up a former Baltimore Raven, Malik Harrison. You know, they made some moves. Except the one little position that they haven't figured out yet. That's quarterback.
Like they have zero sign, dude. They have zero, right?
Because we're not trying to make you sound like you don't want to be more aggressive. You're sounding like that.
Yeah.
You're the one that's saying that they can't do it. They should have done it before they got Lamar. Like, no, they can still do it.
Oh, you talking about? Oh, you talking about?
No, but yeah. So they.
So you said, wait, hold on. Let's read the comment. You are trying to make me sound like I don't want them to be more aggressive. No, so no, but because what we're trying to say here is we can't make excuses for the team. Don't make excuses for them for EDC not doing his job, because that's what's going on right now. He's not doing his job. We want the best for the team, right? Now's not the time to go rah for the team. That's when all the moves have been made. The season's going to start, and they can't make any other moves. You just got to hope for the best. Right now, you got to demand that they do better than what they're doing. Sign DeAndre Hopkins. Sorry, more.
What the hell are you talking about, Rock?
Okay. This is the last Ravens comment before we go and talk about some moves around the league. Antonio says, who cares if we have weapons if we're not using them correctly? Our OC isn't using the weapons we have properly, and everyone knows it. Okay, but when you watch the Cincinnati Bengals play against Baltimore and Jamar Chase takes a slant and goes 80 yards for a touchdown, that's not the offensive coordinator. That's
not coaching.
He's not coaching.
Right. And even in Baltimore, when you watch them hand the ball to Derrick Henry and he takes off going somehow 23 miles an hour and he's swarming people into the nether realm, that's not your offensive coordinator.
It's not play design.
You get players who have elite talent, and they will make those plays regardless. You don't have elite talent right now, so yes, the offensive coordinator is a much bigger hindrance to what you're doing. But I promise you, in that Buffalo game, I saw your comment saying that you had enough to beat Buffalo. Zay Flowers wasn't playing. If you had a real number one receiver in that game, you would have beat Buffalo because they would have made plays. But you don't have guys like that. Rashad Bateman's not a number one. He's not really a number two, and that was your top guy in that game.
Yeah, look at their strategy. Their strategy was to put 9 guys around the line of scrimmage because they don't fear anybody on the back end. And actually worked for the majority of the game because Zay was out and Andrews had Butterfingers all games, and for some reason we weren't really using likely how we should have been using them.
That's to Antonio's point is, we did have enough to win. It's just coaching lost us the game, which is true. But also the other point that we're making up here is elite talent helps mitigate bad coaching. Okay?
Yeah, man.
If you have elite talent out there, the bad play calls, they can overcome that and still win the game.
And you know that because you've been watching Lamar Jackson do it for 8 years. This has not been a team that's good enough to get to the second round of the playoffs, to get to the conference championship, etc. But Lamar Jackson makes them that.
We just saw Sirianni win the Super Bowl. That fan base wanted him gone. This year, during the season, the week that we played them, we had Eagles fans in here talking trash, and I asked them how they feel about Sirianni. They're like, fire him.
And then they rattled off 10 straight,
right?
Like, I think Jalen got his concussion, and then he was out, and then they rattled off 10 straight to win the Super Bowl, and then now everyone's like, Nick Sirianni's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm like, man, shut up, man.
No, that's talent on that team, man. And
no, exactly. Exactly.
But they build at all 3 levels. They've made big trades. They've drafted well. And they pay guys in free agency. You can't be afraid to pay guys when you're 1-2 players away from being able to win. The Ravens don't have any excuse because they've been at this level for years and years. And do they not want to get over the hump? I would rather them tear it all the way down if they're going to keep making the second round of the playoffs and then, crapping their pants essentially. Like,
also too,
because at this point.
Well, hold on. Okay. Well, no. Let's move on. Let's move on to some NFL moves.
They also retain a lot of their players.
Yeah.
Because they brought back Zach Braun. They gave Saquon a contract extension. The only person they really lost is Milton Williams. And they were like, we're not going to pay you $27 million.
They lost Josh Sweat too, though.
Yeah, well, I think they're gonna replace those two guys in the draft because they're rotational defensive line pieces. Milton isn't their starting defensive tackle, so they're like, well,
All right.
we'll
So
just
what?
find
So what
another-
are some of the big free agent moves here?
Well, obviously the biggest, Deshaun Wharton to the Carolina Panthers.
No, Brodny. No.
Patrick Jones Jr. to the Carolina Panthers. We also had, I don't know if you guys saw this one, Bobby Brown to the Carolina Panthers. Trayvon Mulrig to the Carolina Panthers. I mean, it was a banner
Chris
day.
Board to the New York Giants, man. Chris Board is going to change the game.
Hey, Paulson Adebo to the New York Giants.
And
That was a great,
Roy
great
Robinson
move.
Harris, guys. Remember the name, Roy
That was a great
Robinson
pickup as
Harris.
well.
Yeah, and James Hudson III, Chauncey Golston.
Yeah, no.
Sam Darnold went to the Seahawks.
I thought we were talking about good moves.
Yeah,
I said
I thought we
notable
just-
moves.
Oh, my bad. See, that's on me.
Yes. Geno Smith to the Raiders was a big move,
that's a big one.
I think,
Yep,
for them.
there you go.
And I mean, they retained Max Crosby. They paid him big money. Myles Garrett not getting his wish. The owner refused to meet with him, and he said, "Well, we're just going to make you the highest paid non-quarterback in the game." He said, "All right, I rescind my trade request. I'm good." You know,
He was like, moving is kind of a hassle. I'm not really big fans of boxing up everything in my life and moving, so I'll just stay in Cleveland.
Well, listen, the reality is, like they said, we're not moving you. He was under contract for 3 years.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything he could do. So they said, hey, we're saying no, but we like you. We want you to be happy. Here's some money. Okay.
Shout out to Andrew Berry for being a good GM. That's a good GM move, really, for Andrew Berry.
Yeah.
He
You don't want an upset Myles Garrett.
No. Oh, Josh Allen got the biggest contract in NFL
Yeah, it
history.
wasn't a year-long circus for that either. That's weird.
No. Yeah.
That's weird. He still hasn't won anything either.
Yeah, exactly.
He won MVP.
He didn't have teams putting out statements saying we don't want him.
Mm-hmm.
And then people would be like, "There's no collusion."
Yeah.
But back to your point, they Sam Darnold to the Seattle Seahawks, who are apparently in a full-on rebuild. So I don't know why you would pay Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold was just a terrible signing. We saw at the end of the season in Minnesota that it was a bit of fool's gold. I don't want to say it was completely fool's gold. I like Sam a lot. He has talent. He just hasn't been able to put it all together, and he did for most of last season, right? And he played pretty well. But he had one of the worst playoff games you could imagine, and that kind of tanked his value a bit, which is why he only came in a little over $30 million a year. But I just don't see you taking away Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, and those coaches, and dropping him in Seattle, and him having any kind of success after you cut Tyler Lockett and traded DK Metcalf, and you've got one of the worst O-lines in the league.
Yeah, I think they downgraded from Geno.
How about Justin Fields to the Jets?
They downgraded.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
How about Justin Fields going to New York to the Jets?
What's funny about that? Yeah, what's funny about that move? He would have been a Jet if they just drafted him at 2.
You know how to draft? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand how leading up to the draft, everyone was like, you know what? The guy who made the national title game by carrying Ohio State, he's not the second best QB in the draft. It's this guy from BYU who threw 70 yards against air.
Well, it's a whole new regime there now. So
yeah, and Justin Fields for me, I'm not sure if he's got a chance to be redeemed at this point. Like Chicago did a number on him. He's kind of gone into a shell. He obviously has the physical ability, but he's at a point now where he's uber conservative and so aware of not turning over the ball that it's a detriment to his offenses. And that's what happened in Pittsburgh, why he got benched. They were 4-2 when he got benched, right? He was 4-2 as a starter, but he had I think 10 total touchdowns at that point. He'd only turned the ball over once, but they weren't scoring a lot of points. So they said, "Hey, get out, Russ, get in here," even though we know you're a fraud. And so he's got those trust issues too, right? That's why he told Pittsburgh, "I'm not coming back unless you guarantee me that I'm the starter," and they wouldn't do that. Which look at you now. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
I don't think he's shell shot. I think he'll be fine there.
I think he's got a chance to be right, but that does happen to some quarterbacks where you lose that confidence and you just can't get it back.
Well,
right?
you got to think about what they got though. Brees Hall, I think, is one of the more talented running backs in the league, and he didn't get to show that where Aaron Rodgers is. Aaron Rodgers was trash last year. Forget his numbers. He was bad. Garrett Wilson is one of my favorite young wide receivers in the NFL. Think he's extremely talented. He went over 1,000 yards, 2 straight seasons so far.
Yeah, the problem there, Adrian, though, and I put this in our Discord, is now that they have a black quarterback, they're taking that receiver away. He's going to Carolina.
so he's not going to get to play with Garrett Wilson.
No.
They're going to treat him like every other black quarterback, not the way Philly treats black quarterbacks, because apparently Philly treats them with respect, but everyone else says, "No, we're cool," which is crazy. I hate.
Well, they didn't give McNabb that respect. He didn't have anybody.
They
got 12 Owens for a year.
Right.
Yeah, it's not our fault that Terrell Owens found out he was a fat ass and didn't want to work hard.
The rest of the time he had Todd Pinkston, James Thrash, Nay Brown,
Freddie Mitchell.
Freddie Mitchell.
FedEx. Yeah.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good there.
They started to change their tune.
Yeah. Smarty says breaking news: Chargers signed Jalen.
They did have Terrell Owens. The fuck are you talking about?
Well, comment.
Don't you get a quarterback before you start talking, Shug?
Hey, Ferris.
I apologize.
Pretend that you were working at Bristol.
Okay? It was going so well until he started talking. I'm so sorry, Jose. I apologize.
All right. So yes, Najee Harris went to the Chargers. I'm not sure if that's an upgrade over DK Mac or J.K. Dobbins.
No, Gus
it is because he plays.
J.K. Dobbins. Well,
you talking about?
Well, no,
3 yards and Najee Harris is like 3 yards per carry. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't gonna get it done out there.
Hey, it's like 3.8 yards per carry. All right, it's closer to 4 than to 3. But J.K. Dobbins can't stay healthy. He just can't do it, and you can't rely on him. So, in that sense, it's an upgrade. He's been over 1,000 yards 4 straight years for whatever that means, which not much, but. It got him a job in Los Angeles, right? So that's great.
Amen. Jim Harbaugh. Sorry, I get them mixed up. Jim Harbaugh has been trying to go after Najee Harris for the past 10 years. This man showed up to his homecoming king ceremony. All right, he's like, I'm gonna get him one way or another.
That's a little creepy.
Yeah, well, it's high school recruiting. It's a bit creepy.
That's too much, man.
Yeah, it's a bit creepy. He lost him to Alabama, but hey, man, he finally got his guy.
Yeah, when his guy was good and desperate, and we got Killer Cam saying he thinks he'll be far better with the Chargers. Maybe I hope so. I like Najee Harris, and I do think that Steelers O-line obviously played a part in it, but. I don't know. I mean, if I'm the Chargers, like there's a lot of really good running back prospects in the draft. I probably would have just waited until then.
Yeah, man, you could have drafted Amari Hampton, RJ Harvey.
They could just draft Ashton Genty.
Well, what's their pick?
He ain't gonna be there for them.
They're not picking that far down. I don't think
they're picking like 20, aren't they?
Yeah, but I don't think he's gonna go in the top 20.
People think he's going to Chicago. People think he's going to Chicago or Dallas because Dallas has no running backs, like 0. So 12 is I think where he.
Dallas has no running backs, but they also have no edge rushers and no run defenders. They lost one of the greatest O linemen of all time, so they have some other needs before they worry.
Yeah, wow. House says Genty's going top 10. Okay,
10.
Maybe
he's going 10. He's going 10.
All right.
Yeah. Well, also too, this isn't the draft where you get edge rushers because
it's not what I heard.
Where? Which? Oh, my bad. Sorry, wrong position.
Marcus Williams has officially been released. Is the word coming in?
Oh, before Justin Tucker, cool.
Before
Mark Andrews, nice.
Yeah, but how much dead money is that? That's
Look, all right.
I'll give that man like $70 million.
Let's wrap this up and let's do a court of public opinion. We don't have any questions, do we?
No.
All right. We're gonna have to update that community board.
I put out a post this week.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. Like
all right.
How about you make your own?
Okay.
I know. I'm sorry. An hour before the show, I did.
Yeah. That's not.
Suge's
That's not.
unoriginal, man. He be stealing people's insults because he knows he can't come up with one for himself.
Okay, guys, stop reading the chat, Ferris.
All right,
We're banning you
fair,
from reading
fair.
the chat.
Yeah,
Right.
you gonna be on the show? You gonna be in the chat?
I'm gonna be on the show.
Okay.
Isn't the chat a
All
part
right.
of the show?
Ladies and
No
gentlemen,
beefs.
are you ready? Are you ready for the next?
I'm trying
ready.
to get ready. Hold on.
I'm ready.
All right. We is about to get ready. In the meantime, patreon.com/LBHT Show. All right. If you want to support this channel a little bit more, that's how you do it. We do the overtime show over there, which will happen right after this show. Tonight, we got a request to explain the NFL salary cap. So we're going to go over that as much as we can because we're not, cap experts, but we'll explain it a little bit briefly for some of you that don't quite understand how that works. I would say a lot of Raiders fans don't understand how that works. People always ask, well, if we only have this much in cap, how can we afford this guy that's making this much? We'll go over all that. I explained it a little bit earlier in the stream with Ronnie Stanley this year. Even though he's making $20 million a year, he only counts $5.8 million towards the cap this year. Right? It's all about how you manipulate the contract. So just because you see a cap number does not mean you can't go after somebody that's going to cost a lot of money. Right? So yes, the cap is cap. It is definitely cap. And don't think that keeps your team from making big splashes in free agency. That's just your GM telling you a lie. Okay. But yes, patreon.com/LBHT Show. That's where you can go. Also, check out our website, LBHTShow.com, where you can find some merch. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you like the beanie that B is wearing, we got that and more over there. Also, our videos go up over there too, I believe. I think they're like the latest videos. You can, I think they're linked to the site. But check it out and sign up for our newsletter that's not out yet, but it's coming. Okay, it's coming. B, are you ready?
I'm ready.
B is ready. All right, look, ladies and gentlemen, this may not be a real court, but it is the court that you need. Court of public opinion starts right now. All rise. Court is now in session. We didn't even go to the other scene. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay.
You gotta roll with it, man. I got it over here. You just can't see it because
yes. All right. What do we have, B?
Well, what we have is some haters by the name of Stephen A. Smith and Colin Cowherd, among others, who have been going at LeBron through his son, Brodny. Essentially just kind of trash talking both of them for Brodny being a G League player and, LeBron using his influence to get him into the NBA and them taking an issue with it. And really, I think we all know the reality is they don't have any issue with Brodny being in the league. They don't have any issue with the way LeBron got him in the league. They have the knowledge that hating on LeBron will bring viewers and bring clicks the same way that hating on Lamar Jackson does it in the NFL, right? But this time, one of them, Stephen A., he's a name dropper extraordinaire. He likes to be seen. He likes to let you know who he was standing near. He likes to be courtside at these games. And he was courtside in a game that LeBron James was playing in. And he turned around and LeBron James was right up in here and telling him, "Hey, you need to stop talking about my son." And he said there was some expletives used, and he said, "Stop talking about my son." And Stephen A. kind of just stood there and took it, and then sat down and didn't say anything, and did his podcast and his radio show and didn't say anything. And then his bosses at ESPN said, "You better go say something." Because he's out there in many, many videos all over the internet talking about, "Hey, if you don't like what I say, come see me. Okay, I'm courtside at all these games. You see me out here. You come find me.
I'm outside.
Come out here. You talk to me man to man. You don't like what I say." And then somebody didn't like what he said and talked to him man to man, and he looked frightened.
Yeah, but then he followed it up. I'm not sure when this part.
Gills.
Gilbert Arenas' podcast, and he was
One second,
talking.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I do want to say thank you to House, our newest member of Patreon. Appreciate you signing up. Thank you very much.
House.
Salute to House. Salute. Appreciate you, House. Yeah, but he was on Gilbert Arenas' podcast, and he had his chest puffed out. He dropping expletives every other word. He was talking tough then. He was yelling and hulking up. He's like, I wasn't talking about your son. I was talking about your ass. Right? I'm like, now I know you didn't say that to LeBron when he was in your face.
Right.
I know you didn't say that part. You didn't say much. Okay. He did the talking, it looked like, and you just stood there and then sat back down when he walked away from you. I don't respect him. I do not respect Stephen A. for a myriad of reasons. Okay. I do not like this man. I just don't. Did he work hard to get to where he's at? Yeah. I'm not going to take any of that away. But the things that he has done to put himself in a position that he's in right now, do not respect it. He is a sellout. And he put himself in this situation. Now, I know people are going to say, well, hey, what's wrong with criticizing Brodny? He's in the NBA. That's that comes with the territory. Absolutely. And him being LeBron's son, that comes with the territory. People are going to go at him. I don't think LeBron has an issue with that. But as I did some digging into this, because I just don't keep up with mainstream media like that anymore. Apparently, Stephen A. not only was criticizing Brodny in his play, he's criticizing LeBron as a father. And I saw a clip where Stephen A. addressed it on his podcast that LeBron's people reached out to him because he knows everybody, right? LeBron's people reached out to him and told him that LeBron's not happy with him criticizing LeBron as a father. That's different from criticizing a basketball player. Okay. Mm-hmm. And he basically said, hey, we got to stop all this, being soft, all this softness. So LeBron showed you how soft he was. He came to you face to face, and now you're mad about how he came at you. Talking about, oh, well, he could have told me, hey, to stay after the game. We could have talked about it afterwards. No, he came to you right off the bench when he saw you and said, what's up? You talking? What's up? You had nothing to say. Okay, then.
As I
sit down, shut up, and
Larry
sit
David.
Down. Stop running your mouth and watch the game. You can't. You can't. So my issue with him is this: you're not a journalist anymore. You're not a reporter anymore. You're just a character. You're a TV character. You want to be friends with all the basketball players. You want to be best friends with all the basketball players. You want to name drop them, like B said. You want to tell everybody, I know him. We're really good friends. I got his number right here. We were talking the other day. I met him at Chick-fil-A. Like he wants to be like this with the players. If you want to be like this with the players, like you were on Gilbert's show when you guys all just chilling and rapping and having a good time, then there are certain things that you cannot say about them, right? Because you're not a journalist anymore. If you want to be a journalist, then you're not close with them.
Mm-hmm. But it's a problem I had with LeBron, or not even with LeBron, with Stephen A. is when he addressed it on First Take, he said, LeBron, you got my information. Rich Paul, you got my information. Maverick Carter, you have my information. These are all LeBron and his associates, his business partners. You guys could have called me. Instead, you waited until you saw me courtside at the game and confronted me. I think it was the third quarter, end of the third quarter, going into the fourth. Stephen, if you're going to call people out publicly, they have the right to address you publicly.
And he said that also in the clip, by the way. Like if I say something publicly, I'm not going to apologize privately because it's public. So
So they're going. So you called him out in public. You use your platform to get ratings and clicks. You use his name on your platform, and that's whether it's your show, whether it's the Stephen A. Smith show that you do on YouTube, and in the podcast space. Either way, you use that man's name and his son for clickbait, and then you said as a father you felt like it was wrong, and you made the comparison on Gil's show as far as King Griffey Jr. and Sr. being at the Lakers' first game. They're both all-stars and, Hall of Fame type talents, as to say, Bronny's not that. But why does everybody have such a problem with Bronny being the 55th pick when nobody anywhere near him in the draft is doing anything in the NBA, the G League? Look, I mean, Bronny's averaging 22 in the G League. He's 19 years old. The kid damn near died a year ago, and he's only getting the coverage and attention he's getting because he's LeBron's son. He didn't ask to be LeBron's son. He didn't ask to be Bronny James. He just was born with that, and LeBron used his privilege in a way that no other black NBA player had ever used to get their son prime positioning. Because I think he would have been an NBA player anyway. It just wouldn't have been with the Lakers. It just wouldn't have been at the same time as LeBron. But give him another year or two, he would have made the NBA based off of his own merit. So I've seen him play in the G League, and there are guys in the NBA right now that are worse than him. Yeah, LeBron was maybe a little bit out of pocket by saying, I think he's better than a lot of guys in the league before he was in the league. But that was just the opinion of a father. And yeah, you're going to be biased as a father, as a family member. I got a little nephew that plays basketball. He's 15. I think he's better than everybody. In reality, it's not always the same. We'll see one day, and Stephen A pops a lot of stuff like he can beat people. But if LeBron swung on you, what you going to do, bro? Like, you better hope you don't see him somewhere where there's not 20,000 people in an arena and cameras feeding the entire world. Because if he sees you somewhere outside of that, in a club or somewhere that he might be able to get away with slapping you, he might just do that. I don't think LeBron's that type of guy, but, when you talk about somebody's ability as a father, I don't think anybody's ever said that about you, Stephen A. And I don't think people even know, but he has kids himself. Stephen A. has 2 daughters, I believe. So if it's fair for you to attack somebody's fatherhood, it's fair for somebody else to do the same to you. So it's just be careful of the medicine you dish out because you might end up taking it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the poll ready, B?
Yeah. Ferris, go ahead, because there's a second part to this. I want Ferris to chime in, and then I'll put up the poll.
Because the funny fact about this is the coverage of him is abnormal because the way you usually cover the 55th pick in the draft, the NBA draft, is this how you cover them. You don't talk about them because they don't matter. Mm-hmm. Who was the 55th pick last year, guys? Do we know?
No. Who was the 54th or 56th pick this year?
We don't know.
Nobody knows.
Does anyone remember the top 10 of this year's draft?
No, I barely remember the first 2 guys, 2 French
dudes.
I
remember the first 2.
Yeah, we all remember the first 2. Yes,
but that's Stephen A. gonna up the strap. Hashtag murder pay.
Yeah, Stephen A. is gonna be like the 2 homicides a year that they had.
I want to address this comment, but because he says he shouldn't be off limits as a professional, that's not.
Go ahead. No, because see, here's the thing. I agree. But professionally, the way you cover the 55th pick in the NBA draft is you don't talk about them because they don't matter.
Yeah, but
that's the real thing, is because he shouldn't be off limits, and he's not off limits, but he doesn't play in the NBA. He's a good G League player. We don't see any stories about that. He's a good G League player, and then every now and then he plays a few minutes in the NBA.
Yeah, but this is how Stephen A. tried. This is how Stephen A. tried to defend it, though. He said he was on Gil's show. And he said that, he got drafted when he did with the whole circus around he's only going to go to the Lakers. Rich Paul saying that there was a number that he needed to be met. Then he signed the contract. I think he got $8 million or whatever. I don't know how many years it was, but he got some money. And Stephen A. said, I didn't say anything the whole time any of this was going on. People kept asking me to chime in on it. I didn't feel like it was worth covering. But then the Lakers started playing him. And one game, he even came out to start the 3rd quarter or something like that. And then he felt like it was on limits to be able to give whatever critique or criticism that he had at that point. But it's like,
But
Nobody can get upset at your basketball criticism. It's the part that you talk about him as a father.
Just to put that in perspective, Brodny has played 76 minutes in the NBA.
But I don't want this. But I don't want this. I don't want this point to get lost. Right? It's not the criticism of Brodny why LeBron is mad. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's him questioning him as a father. Right? Mm-hmm. You call me a bad father. That's personal. That's not has nothing to do with what's going on in the court. You call me a bad father. You damn right we got a problem. And I don't owe you any. I don't have to afford you any kind of respect or anything like that. Or we'll take it outside or we'll talk on the side. No. When I see you, I'm gonna call you out. Who are you talking to? I'm not mistreating my son.
No, because here's the thing about Stephen A. Man. For years, this is the way he's been operating. Right? He just call me. Just talk to me. Do the thing. That because Carmelo Anthony, he said something about Carmelo Anthony once, and literally Carmelo Anthony called him the very next day. He was like, "Yo, that was BS what you did. Why'd you do that?" And then on the next day, he apologized to it. And then he famously threatened Kevin Durant on his show. I remember that. I remember when he said,
"Enemy out of me."
You don't want to make an enemy out of me.
No, he said he kept talking about his mother too. And then his mother had to call.
His mama pressed him. His mama pressed him on his show during the finals. She sat Miss Wanda, wonderful person. I hear great stories about her when she was in the Bay Area. But when she was on that show, she didn't give a damn. She just dirty looked.
But this is the problem.
She forgave him, but she don't like him.
This is the problem. This is what I'm saying. He blurred the lines. He wants to be too close to these players to where he thinks they're friends, but then he also wants to talk about them, and then they call him, and then he'll get emotional about it because he's like, well, damn, well, I was just trying to do my job, but okay, well, we're supposed to be cool. I'll apologize, or he'll try to make a hard stance, and then he's beefing with people. That's because you're not being a professional, right? If you're a professional, then you analyze the game, you report what you see. It doesn't matter if they're happy with you or not. There's that line drawn, and they won't be running up to you, during games, getting in your face saying, shut up. Yeah. Right?
Because they're following your instruction. Oh, sorry, my baby.
Yeah. But the other part of this is, because we got to get out of here pretty soon. The other part is Colin Cowherd also chiming in and essentially saying this is why the NFL is ahead of the NBA in terms of popularity and ratings and all that, because you don't see this type of nepotism. He said you're not going to see Jalen Hurts' son playing running back for the Eagles. And I just wanted to respond to that real quick, because you do see nepotism in the NFL, right? That kind of player nepotism is more rare. Jared Payton did get to the NFL because he's Walter Payton's son. He didn't have any business playing in the NFL. He got drafted. He played for Tennessee for 1 year, and then he was out of the league. But you do have preferential treatment given to players who don't belong in the NFL. Right.
Yes.
Tim Tebow got multiple chances. Nathan Peterman, Greg McElroy got into the NFL. John Skelton was a starter. Quincy Carter was a starter for several years. We talked about Dez, Deshaun, Sammy Watkins, Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Freeman, all in Baltimore when they were picked them up off the trash heap and they didn't belong in the NFL anymore.
This is my problem with nepotism, though. It's
only hold on. One thing though, because the where the nepotism happens in the NFL is in the coaching staff and in the front office. And Stephen A. Smith and Colin Cowherd, they don't want to call that out, right? For those of you who don't remember, maybe you don't follow the Panthers or you haven't watched the show that long, there was a point where the Carolina Panthers employed Norv Turner, Norv Turner's brother, Norv Turner's son, and Norv Turner's nephew. Now,
it was a daycare for the Turners.
Don't tell me that they were the best available at all those positions. Ron likes Norv Turner. And he took care of his friend Norv Turner and his family. And Ron's family was being taken care of elsewhere. We all saw on Hard Knocks, Jim Fossil's son was the special teams coach for the Rams at one point. And his entire segment was how he just wanted to be on the beach and paint, and he didn't care about football, right? He was there because he was Jim Fossil's son. And I told us we were talking about this earlier. If you fire every Nepo baby on the coaching staffs and in front offices in the NFL today, the league will fold tomorrow. Right, it's built on nepotism. But nobody has a problem with that. It's just like when we talk about LeBron moving from Cleveland to Miami, with Wade and Bosh, and him bringing Anthony Davis to the Lakers. people have a problem when players, and let's just be honest, when black players have agency in their career. They want them to be controlled by the teams, controlled by their coaches, controlled by their GMs. And whenever any athletes, whether it's basketball, football, college, pro, high school, whatever it is, whenever any athlete shows that they can take control of their own career and their own lives, people have a problem with it.
Or they become Isaiah Thomas in Boston, where Isaiah Thomas told them, "My hip hurts. I don't think I should play." And Danny Ainge makes him play and destroys Isaiah Thomas, and they don't have to give Isaiah Thomas $100 million that they were going to give him, but Danny Ainge basically screwed him. Screwed Danny Ainge.
So we have the poll up here, and basically we're going to keep this real simple. If you agree with LeBron going in and confronting Stephen A. for calling him out as a father and essentially targeting his son for clicks, it's hashtag LeBron. If you agree with Stephen A. for targeting the 55th pick in the draft for clicks and going after LeBron as a father, it's hashtag sassy.
Now, while you guys are getting your votes in, we about to hit the 2-hour mark. We have a rule here, hashtag no 2 hours, but we about to hit it. Okay, so we're breaking our own rule here. I need y'all to go.
How dare you, Adrian?
Patreon.com/LBHT Show. All right. As soon as we're done here, we're going to hit up the overtime show. We can talk more about this if you want. We're going to talk about the salary cap, but anything that you want to bring up, you can bring it up on the overtime show. I also want to point this out too, because while people are mad that LeBron used his power to get Brodny in the NBA, it went from that, right? Like, he wouldn't be in the NBA if it weren't for LeBron. But I remember on draft night, Rich Paul notifying teams, do not draft Brodny, or we'll send them overseas for a year, and people were upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, which one is it? Did teams want to draft Brodny, or no team was going to draft Brodny except for the Lakers?
He was going to be drafted.
He was going to be drafted. Exactly.
He was going to be drafted.
People forget, right? Just because his name is LeBron James Jr. doesn't guarantee him a proper evaluate, like a generous evaluation in the high school rankings. He was a top 25 recruit in the nation. I've seen other kids of NBA athletes who go unranked because the high school recruiters is like, we don't care that you're Ron Artest III. You're not very good. We don't, they undervalued KJ Martin, Kenyon Martin's son. They've undervalued a bunch of these kids growing. Now it's a new age of kids like Taj Ariza and Elijah Arenas. Like those kids, or like Jace Richardson, those kids are pretty good, the Boozer twins. But the high school recruits, they don't care who your daddy is. They don't, because they're going to evaluate you. He was a top 25 recruit. He died his first year at USC. Died. Like they had to resurrect him. Of course he had a bad year. Also, too, his head coach in college had one foot out the door. You know how I know? 2 days after the season ended, he was already in Dallas accepting the SMU job. So he was going to be an NFL, maybe an NFL, an NBA prospect, because he was already a top 25 national prospect. So let's act like he's not a scrub. You know what I mean? He had good shooting, good size, good defense. He could have developed properly if he stayed an extra year. But the problem is, do you trust Eric Musselman, who's now the head coach at USC, to develop him? Or could he have transferred to another college to do it? But LeBron said, why do that? Let's just have you develop in the Lakers development system.
Mm-hmm. It's the fact that LeBron had the power to do that they have a problem with. Yeah. And nepotism, like you said, B, has never been an issue. It's about who is benefiting from it, not who can do it. Because when you look at the way the NBA has always been, there have always been guys that have benefited from nepotism. They just typically don't look like LeBron, or they're typically not active players. And, even with like a Deion Sanders, he's a coach, and people have a problem with the fact that he carries his business how he does, and he puts his sons in position, and he puts his friends on his coaching staff, but they don't have a problem if it's Nick Saban doing it. They don't have a problem if it's Pete Carroll doing it. It doesn't matter that Brodny is good enough to play in the league or that he's not. It only matters that he's LeBron's son, and if you talk trash about him, it's going to bring ratings and attention. And that's something Skip Bayless learned. That's something that Kyle Hurd is keeping up. And I guess Stephen A wants to join the party, but he wants to be friends with LeBron when he wants to be friends with him, and he wants to take a more of a contrarian point of view when it comes down to not wanting to agree with what he's doing. But at the same time, like, LeBron is the face of the NBA. If anybody should have the power to get their son in the league, I don't care if he would be the worst player in NBA history. LeBron earned the right to be able to bring his son into the league.
Also, too,
Facts. Well, hold on. Hold on.
He says, but LeBron put that pressure on that boy. And I just want to say that that's what you're referring to is not LeBron putting pressure on him, because he was the 55th overall pick. He's a G League player. What you're talking about is NBA fans and media being a-holes, because there's no reason to be talking about Brodny.
He didn't put any more pressure on Brodny than you would put on your son if you were a manager for a company and you got him hired in your company. There's no more pressure.
Also, too, he was going to have pressure regardless. He's LeBron James Jr. Like, his dad didn't have to put any pressure on him because the pressure was already there.
Yeah,
it was going to be already there. Also, too, this isn't the first time an NBA Hall of Famer has done this with their kid. Zaire Wade was in the Utah G League system because Dwayne Wade is a part owner of the Utah Jazz, something people don't really know about. Zaire was there, and then Zaire was like, I don't like basketball, and then he left. Bronny likes basketball, so he's staying.
Hey, I want to tell you
Where's
about
Marcus Jordan?
I want to tell you about a boxer named Nico Ali Walsh. You may not know this, but he is the grandson of Muhammad Ali. And ESPN, yes, and Top Rank, they will let you know every time he fights that he is the grandson of Muhammad Ali. And ladies and gentlemen, he is not Muhammad Ali.
Jose, they don't tell us he's Muhammad.
He's not
Ali's
even Layla Ali.
Bro, they don't tell us that he's Muhammad Ali's grandson every fight. They tell us every other round.
And then they show a picture next to them.
You don't say he's better than half the players in the league, or because you as a rational human being don't take that seriously. Like when Anthony Edwards said, when they asked him about, what are you going to do about Kevin Durant? Well, they got Kevin Durant, we got Jaden McDaniels. Everybody laughed and then they let it go. Because, we know Jaden McDaniels isn't better than Kevin Durant. He's saying that because he's his teammate. You don't have to take that seriously and then criticize. People, I'm not saying you specifically, because, but I mean, people in general, they choose to do that because they hate LeBron and they want to criticize LeBron. And part of that now is, hey, I want to criticize Bronny because he's LeBron's son. It's not LeBron's fault that people are awful, and he shouldn't live his life reacting to people being awful. What he did for his son was not put pressure on him. He made him millions of dollars by getting him into the NBA. You're saying that do you think he shouldn't have done that?
Also, too, hating LeBron is lucrative. One man got $8 million from Fox. Yeah, because one man got $8 million from Fox when he left ESPN, and Skip Bayless, because he hated LeBron on ESPN, and he continued to hate. That was the entire shtick of First Things First or whatever. No. Was it Undisputed?
Undisputed.
It was cold pizza originally. Then
as Ravens fans, Lamar Jackson fans, we know how it is.
Exactly.
It's a Lamar Jackson market, but it's a even bigger LeBron market. You talk about LeBron. There are literally YouTube channels out here. All they do is talk bad about LeBron, and they get hundreds of thousands of views.
Because they know, because compared. Oh, my bad.
I'm sorry. I was going to say that just to close out the show that Mike Williams re-signed with the Chargers, which, I mean, why'd you let him go to begin with? But then I scrolled and I saw that Oliver Miller passed away.
Oliver Miller.
It's unfortunate.
Who's Oliver Miller?
Oliver Miller,
the played basketball for the Suns
and the Raptors, and I believe he was in Houston for a bit as well.
Junior Bridgman passed away 2 days ago, or yesterday.
Yeah, Ferris watches the show.
Oh damn!
Wait, y'all talked about Junior.
Junior Bridgman was the Black History Fact today.
Oh yeah, I missed that.
On the show that you are currently on.
I missed at the beginning. It's actually my favorite part.
All right, let's wrap this up because we already went over.
The show. I missed it. I apologize. Shout out to you, Junior Bridgman.
Ferris, real quick, let the people know where they can find you.
Celebrating the life of Junior Bridgman on Let's Get Ready Networks. I don't know why you're laughing because the man's an icon. Every Friday, 3:00 Pacific, we talk NFL, Giants, Cowboys. a lot of things they've done. They've actually did things this offseason that didn't piss me off that much. And then I'm also on their I'm also on post credits. We're doing Daredevil as well as every Thursday 3 o'clock Pacific. Me and Snark and Adelia, we do our like kind of like a rewatching council where we rewatch Buffy the Vampire Slayer and review it. And we're also going to be adding other shows and other movies to that series. So keep your eye out, guys. If you got like movies and TVs and all that jazz, we can do that. I'm also going to start up a column on our website. We also have a newsletter. It's free to sign up for. Also, too, our Discord's also free. It's open to the public. Just hop in and let's have some fun. We talk movies and sports, you name it. Just don't be disrespectful because you are. I will quick you out. I'm very quick on the trigger. All right, all right, and I will investigate you. All right, so I said
yes,
it.
you are. Yes.
You goddamn right, I said
Office,
it. All right,
Office Affairs.
Hit that like button too.
All right, Adrian, let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube, Press Start 410, or you can shorten it to P Start 410. I talk about life. I talk about sports. Talk about entertainment. My latest episode is about my trip to Miami. I ended up crashing a wedding. It's a pretty good time. Anybody who subscribes to me, I will cash app you $1, $1 American USD. So subscribe to me today. Comment, subscribe with your cash tag, and I got you $1 for the first subscriber.
There you go. There you go.
Also, too,
get them however you can get them.
Happy birthday to the main man, Jacob. Shout out to you, man. Happy birthday to you, dog.
Yes. Happy birthday.
Yes. My son, Jacob, B's nephew, our assistant producer of the show. His birthday was yesterday. He should be in bed right now. He may not be. I don't know. But happy birthday, son. He'll be celebrating all week. All right. He'll be celebrating all
he's
week,
one of those birthday week people.
Yeah.
I hate those people.
No, you don't.
I kind
we would all be those people if we could.
Right.
No, I just birthday, the day.
Okay, all right, why is it a day? It only took a second.
Technically, it took 9 months.
How about
technically, it took 9 months.
So you can celebrate for 9 months.
Conceived.
All right, B, are you ready?
I am ready.
B is ready. All right, patreon.com/LBHT Show. That's where we're going right now. So Patreon members, get ready. The overtime show starting in a minute. Everybody else, thank you so much for hanging out with us for over 2 hours. Have a great night. We will see you next time. Peace.